Hey everyone, Zion speaking. I'm really happy to welcome you all back with another video, and this time it's a conversation that I had with our very own Tamil filmmaker from Montreal, Sean Saveremuthu. So I had the pleasure of speaking with Sean, who just released his new film Hippo, which is live on YouTube. You can go check it out. We spoke about his filmmaking journey, his love for cinema, his love for Tamil movies, his vision for the Tamil community in Canada, and way more. So without further ado, let's check this deep and personal conversation. Hey Sean, happy to welcome you to this conversation today. First of all, congratulations for your new
Thank you.
film Hippo.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much to join us with us today in this conversation. So to start with, can you give us an intro of yourself, of your like background, your academics, your filmmaking journey, briefly, how it all
Uh,
started?
yeah, sure. Well, my name is Sean. I've been a filmmaker in this field for about, I wouldn't say like 6 years, but give or take about that time. But I went to school like everyone else, college and all that stuff, but just wasn't for me. And I went to film school in 2015, Travas in Montreal, I've always been a fan of cinema, so it was the right call for me, I guess. And after I finished cinema, I worked in VFX and animation for a bit, and during those times, I've directed and written two films. And yeah, in the future, I'm young, so the future still is out there for me. But yeah, it's a start, right? Yeah, start somewhere. So that's where I am right now.
I want to ask you like a question, like from a quote that I got from Jigadanda Double X. Do you think art chose you, or you chose art? And do you believe in this philosophy?
That's a good question. I think it's one and the same. I think I chose it, but it chose me. It was like a sort of a symbiotic relationship because I remember as a kid, like growing up, like I just had this fascination for art. Like I just had this fascination for drawings and imagery. Like ever since I can remember, like cartoons really like, and it sounds weird to say cartoons, but cartoons literally were like a gateway for me to get into the art form because I was so interested by these animated characters are moving around doing things, and I found that very interesting, which spilled into a film cinema because like I grew up with movies around me, so it wasn't hard to like not be a fan of cinema. My mom and my family, we watched cinema for our pastime as family time. Like that was how we, shared time together. Even to this day, like my siblings and I watch movies every night. So it's a thing that we kind of do. And so I think it's a part chose me, a part I chose it because I also felt comfort in it. And I found a way to express me in a way, which sounds weird. I don't know what that really means, but it did. I guess it makes sense in that way where it's like, yeah, like I found myself in it. And then, yeah, I've been into drawing and reading and storytelling since I was a kid. Like I like writing stories and things like that. So I get, like I said, it chose me and I chose it. It's sort of like the Venom Eddie Brock situation where we just became together and we became one. It was just like,
What were your major influences to enter filmmaking? Like, do you have any idol who inspired you to become a filmmaker?
cinema wise, growing up, it was definitely like, it's funny. I would it's now a cliched answer, but when I did it, it wasn't. Was Christopher Nolan. I was at the time it was like I was probably 12 or 11, and I like movies, so I watch a lot of movies. But I don't know why my brain never put it together where movies are made by filmmakers. I just kind of assumed that. I mean, I guess in a more political way, it's like it's all made from the same machine. But it wasn't like that for me. Like I just assumed, they all felt came from Hollywood or came from America, like or whatever. It was just movies to me. Even like for me, I won't at the time, even Tamil cinema was coming from Hollywood because I just didn't know that it was different industries and things, all right.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I remember my friend and I'm a huge Batman fan. Like anyone knows, I'm a huge Batman fan. I'm a diehard. So I remember I the new Christopher Nolan Batman Begins was coming out, and I was excited because I'm like, oh, finally a Batman tale that's gonna work for me, kind of thing. And my buddy and I went, and I was probably like 11 or 12. I don't remember at the age, and I remember sitting down in the theater with my friend, and it was my first solo outing too, in a way. So I was like a lot of more experiences. But I remember sitting down in the lights, like cut, how the lights go down in the theater, and all of a sudden you saw like the title card come in, the fluttering and the Hans Zimmer music and everything, and I was like, "Yo, like this is not like this is someone else telling a story. Like this is not what I ever perceived before. This is a filmmaker." And then at the time, IMDb just started being a thing, so I went home and I started researching, and I just started picking up, oh, like this is what filmmaking is. It's an art. There's so much layers to it, just not just actors and cameras. And I started learning a lot, and I think Christopher Nolan's a huge influence on that part where he kind of like brought cinema to an educational point for me. But of course, you grew up with a lot of filmmakers as you get older. So like Spielberg, Scorsese, and as I got older, like Snyder and Kurosawa, and like a bunch of filmmakers in the West and the East. But and of course in Tamil cinema, you got Money, KS Ravi Kumar, which was awesome. Even I'm talking about old KS Ravi Kumar. I'm not talking about current. I'm talking about like '90s KS Ravi Kumar and like even Lokesh now, Lokesh Kanagaraj. He's still like I still think of me. I like to still learn. I'm not like always like oh like that's the end to be all. Like what's the new guys bringing into this field and stuff. So you learn, you pick up as you go, and I think a lot of filmmakers would etch into that. They like inspired me. But if I were
Mm-hmm.
to give you like a list of like top five, it would definitely be like Nolan, Ben Affleck, Matt Reeves. I would say Lokesh Kanagaraj, and I would add Money for there, like that list, and maybe like a couple of other guys. Like I said, there's so many filmmakers. It feels like I'm throwing a lot out, but just off the top of my head, I think those are the top five that would kind of
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
inspire me because each of them have a different influence in my filmmaking. If you've seen it, like you'll know what I mean. In a small way, I guess, not too
Yeah,
fast.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I understand. I'm also a big fan of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, yeah,
He has that his filmmaking is so inspiring and influencing. Especially, I got introduced to his films with Batman Begins as well, The Dark
yeah,
Knight, and then all the other films.
yeah,
Even though they are complex in terms of concepts, but the films are resonating easily with the audience.
yeah. And I think it's what's so cool about him. I think why he works for a lot of, I guess, people who consume a lot of Eastern films, like Bollywood, Kollywood, whatever you want to call them, South Asian films, I would say. It's because the way he shoots his films, it has this level of a moss to it, which is hard to explain because it's not like really so out there like how we do like KGF or whatever. It's like constant speeches and shots or whatever. But he does it in a way where moss is still there, and I think we still all resonate with that. Like there's a scene in The Dark Knight Rises where he's on the bat pod, and they're like, "Oh,
Mm.
that's Batman," and he gets off, and the music hits, and like you're like, you as a fan, you're like, yo, you want to get up and clap because you're like, that's a Moss moment. And I think
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Nolan has those elements, but also his way he shoots his films is so intricate and interesting. I'd like to study his cinematographer, Wally Feister. He has such a good eye for everything, and now Hoytema. So it's just learning from those guys too. Like as a visual guy as I am, like it's just like Nolan knows what he thinks about the audience. I feel versus like himself or as a filmmaker. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's able to blend both art and commercial
Yeah,
together.
in such a real way, which is so cool. Like even with Oppenheimer, which is not even like sort of a commercial film, but the way he ends it, you're left with like whoa, like that was so cool, man. Like the way he did the final shot, it's a build up, it's a moment. You're like you're invested. Like even having RDJ as the villain, I mean, sort of the villain of the antagonist, I would say, but like he also had such a level in there where it's like, oh, like he had a characterization that Nolan used, which is from the book. I read the book too, and I know a lot about Oppenheimer. But like what he did with it was he kind of made it not as boring, but also very interesting and blended in a way
Mm-mm-mm.
where it's like, oh, like as a regular viewer could come and watch it and be like, oh, that's interesting, dude. I think that's cool.
And personally, a lot of people used to say the Dark Knight trilogy, the best one is the Dark Knight. But I personally feel that the Batman Begins was way more personal.
Yeah, 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 for
Uh,
sure. I agree with
uh,
that.
Yeah, it touches you deep inside. Like it leaves you with there's an emotion that comes in,
Hmm.
and I really like the way he studies the Batman character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think because like with the Dark Knight, um, so I think after the Dark Knight, both Dark Knight and Rises became James Bond Batman, where he was world trotting, he was doing these things. But in Batman Begins, it felt like a comic book movie, more or less. But I mean, the Dark Knight and Rises are. I mean, Dark Knight is great, Rises is great, good. But Batman Begins for me, that's why it holds a special place. I mean, that's a Batman movie. Like when I say Batman movie, he's not invested. He's not Batman in traditional sense in the comics, but there's something about it. I feel like I was reading a version of a graphic novel at the time of the story, and I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
Who do you think in Tamil cinema is our Christopher Nolan?
Oh boy, that's an interesting question. Because anyone would be like, "Oh, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know Tamil cinema." So it's hard to like gauge that question. But if
Mm-mm-mm.
I were to pick an answer, I'm thinking about like unique shots, unique taste, unique language in cinema. I can't say Money because Money is not like him. Money is different. He has a sort of a when I think of money, no, I think of like tea coffee. You know, it's like it's a very warm and whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
would say, honestly, I would say Lokesh Kanagaraj. When Lokesh
Mm,
came on the scene, it was like Nolan came on the scene. He came with a different view and a different lens where you're like, whoa, like, oh, people could make, you could make movies, Tamil movies like this. Like, I didn't know, like, Kaidi is a prime example. Like, I call Kaidi the, the central masterclass into how to make a proper action film in an Indian cinema, in Indian cinema,
mm.
like a proper action film. Not there's no songs, there's nothing, it's no flashback. It's a proper A to B action movie like an '80s film, and I love it. And I think that's why I would say Lokesh because, I mean, I don't think he's as good as Nolan, but I think they both have a simpler view and lens to cinema. That's a language. It's I could understand. That's a filmmaker. It's not like, oh, it's rinse and repeat like a lot of other filmmakers in Tamil cinema. It's like he has a language where, you know, a shot from a person's back is so signature Lokesh now that, oh, look, it's like same thing with Nolan where he edits. Oh, like the way something edited look no, Nolan film, like, oh, that's a Nolan movie, you know. So I guess in that lens, yeah, I would say Lokesh Kanagaraj.
So it's been 6 years since you released your first film, The Payment. So since then, there has been like a lot of things changed in the film industry. So what other thing? What change do you feel that is positive, and which one do you feel it's a negative one? And do you think the cinema industry on the whole is heading towards a good path, or what is your take on it?
So I think the positive things that we got out of the last 6 years is that people are more open to watching world cinema. So I think that's a huge thing. It's a win, I think, for all of us. Like, you know, I'm able to. There's no like, oh, like you gotta watch this to understand this. It's sort of like, oh, I understand Indian cinema, I understand Chinese cinema, I understand Korean cinema. With streaming and everything, it's been a great exposure to a lot of things. And as filmmakers, I always say as filmmakers, don't just watch one group of cinema, watch a lot. Don't watch just Hollywood. Watch, you know, Japanese, Chinese, you know, Hong Kong, whatever, Tamil, even Hindi cinema. Watch it. And I'm a student of world cinema. Like I don't just sit with one. I watch everything that I find interesting or whatever, or entitles to what I find interesting as a story. So I think that's great. I think that's what, well, one of the things that grew out of that 6 years since COVID and all that jazz. Like it's, um, and also people are respecting the theater. Like I think at one point people are like, "Oh, streaming is the thing," and everyone's like, "No, like I want to go watch it in theaters." And of course, the box office doesn't really show it because like it's been a hard climb back up. But people are like now that when now like Netflix CEO and all these guys are coming out saying, "Oh, no, no, future is streaming," and all people are still going against it. That shows that you know, people want to go see movies in theaters. And I still, like, I was telling my friends, like, I'm like, I don't, if I ever make it big eventually or whatever, I don't want to be a streaming guy only. Like, I would like to, I wouldn't mind doing streaming if it's the story, like, if the studio allows me, oh, like, I'll let you do your story, but it has to be streaming, then I might just do that. But definitely in the big screen, man. Like, as a guy who just released my second film, it was so hard for me when I released it because didn't get a chance to get the feedback of an audience in a theater, you know. So that was such a loss for me. So I understand that pain as well. So for me, it's that the idea of like people want theater cinema in theaters again, and it sucks that Mela again didn't get that love. I wish it
Hmm.
did. I was telling my friend like, oh, people that went to watch Mela again in theaters and all those like first out of the real like out of the theater reviews, they all didn't like it. But I'm telling you, like it's gonna when it comes on streaming, it's gonna kill. And what happened? It came on streaming. Everyone loved Mela again, me including me. So and I still kick myself for not going to see in theaters. But in Montreal, it's so hard. We don't have a theater here, dude. It's so annoying. We have the Cotonesh one, but and the Guzo and Koifutsu. That's it. Like, and even those are the tickets are mad expensive. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
true.
yo. And like I was like, because when I was in Toronto last year for about a year, I had for personal reasons, and like I remember my friend would go to Woodbine. We go to Woodbine Cinema, and it was like a theater. Like you just walk in, watch any movie at any time. You get the cheapy Tuesday, and I'm like, this is great. Like why can't we have that here? Like we're a diaspora. Like we should get our own theater set up. Like I think those guys who run the Cotonesh and stuff should have their own theater open by now. You know, which
Mm-mm-mm.
sucks. But yeah, and to answer the negative aspect of it, sorry, unless you're gonna ask me something or
No, no, go ahead, go
all
ahead.
right, all right. The negative aspects is writing. I think the writing has become so politically weird. There's character writing and then there's writing for a character. Do you follow? There's like the character happens to be a gay man who's a black man and blah blah, but that's it. There's no character. People have forgotten the idea of what a character is. A character could be anything of those things. It's a what we need the why. I'm sorry, it's not about the who. It's about the what now. You know, we're not looking about who is he. Like he's all, yeah, he is a gay. He's what he is. He's a gay man. Blah blah blah. But what who is he is the question. And I think we lost that art form over the years, especially in the West. Like even Marvel and stuff, they focus more on like women power and all that stuff. That's great. I'm happy for that. I think that's an interesting narrative, and we should explore it. But that shouldn't be the gimmick. It shouldn't be just that. I think we should explore more. Like, oh, they're women. Okay, that's great. But as a woman, how did you? How are you? Uh, Show don't tell. Like say show it with us. And I feel like a lot of things are so imposed on that level where I think they shouldn't. I think they should just let the actress perform. Let the actors perform. Let whatever pronouns you want to put here perform that art and let them perform it versus saying I'm a gay person and or just be that character. And I think that's such a lost art, and I think it's become such a thing to do. Like you go on TikTok and everything, they put out those clips like, "Oh, this is such a cool scene," but it's so expositioning and like this is who I am, and it's like no, like okay, so that's it. You know, there's nothing more, and I think that's what's wrong with cinema in general. Even Tamil cinema, I would say. Every time they have a female-led film, it's such a generic, boring film to me because not because of the female lead. It's not that at all. It's because the way it's written. It's so boring. No, I'm a pen, you know, whatever. Like I'm gonna go and like I will fight for justice, and 2 seconds later they get slapped in the face. Oh no! And it's like, and they have like Sami Park and stuff to like encourage the moment. That's why she's strong because she has that, you know. And I'm like, that's so
Mm-mm-mm.
like it's so nasty. It's ugly,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I feel like they don't waste their time talking about a character where it's like, oh, like Sulal, they did it. They got it right until the ending. They got it right where it's like, oh no, they're girls, but they're also women. They have a character. They have a personality. They're people. Each individual girl has a yeah. That was season two. Each individual woman had a character and a personality. They weren't just a woman. And I think that's what I think happened in the last 6 years. I feel like that trajectory went down, and now it's coming back up. I'm happy that people are kind of seeing it now, but like they're not wanting that type of narrative. But yeah, man, like that's a huge negative for me because like something I'll put on a streaming show or whatever, and I'm like I know where it's going because it's so predictable the writing now. You know, like even sitcoms that I love, they would have that because then they're on the era of sitcoms ending. Some sitcoms are ending like a Modern Family or whatever, and even those, it's like they went so far into the political side of things, just like elaborate stuff, and to
Mm-mm-mm.
like have it so like like sort of surface level characterization versus going deep to who they were and drastic transformation just because it's what's cool now. And I think a little flaws goes a long way for characters, in my opinion. So, yeah,
What are your thoughts about AI in filmmaking?
I hate it. I think it's a tool. Like I use AI to help me bounce ideas about a script. So I'll like, oh yeah, what do you like? I'll put a scene on. What do you think? Give me some ideas, and I like to look at it. I'm like, okay, because it feeds you. Like it'll help you kind of get your brain going. So that as a tool, yeah, it works. I think it's a great tool to have. Like last time, I was like working on a web series. And I'm like, how do you create a pitch deck for a web series? And I looked it up. Like, let me put on ChatGPT. Let me see what it gives me. And I was able to bounce off that research. So on that level, it's great. But it being the be all and end all of cinema, no, I disagree. It's the paint. It's the like I said earlier, it's the brush, not the painter, right? So AI should be that way, and it shouldn't be more than that. So I don't think like Kartik Subraj and all these filmmakers, Darren Aronofsky joining with Google now, trying to build this like AI to help cinema and do films on a short level. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's a good idea because you art art should always be human at the end of the day. I think art should always have a human sensibility, a human feel to it. And not just like, oh yeah, but you just type a prompt and it's just doing the prompt. Yeah, but you're not getting the performance you want. You're getting a performance that's generated. As a filmmaker, I want to go deeper. Like I don't want whatever they're giving me. I want to go, let's do that, like let's do this and develop it more. Yeah, but because we and also for VFX level, like there are a lot of VFX artists I know that could lose jobs and families and things like that get affected because AI is becoming a thing. As a tool, it should be great. I think it should stay as a tool versus being the piece of cinema that it's becoming now, which is so terrible. I hate the idea. For me, it's like no, like I can't look at it. And I mean, like, look, we're already talking about how lazy cinema has become. It's all just this, and you want to add AI to that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we come to a point where it's like, oh, we're gonna shoot films like in a vertical way versus horizontally now because of TikTok. That's where we're at, and I'm like, sure, okay, we want to do that format because it works. Sure, that's great, but but there's humans behind it at least. It's not a robot. It's not. I mean, sorry, a robot. It's not a computer. It's not zeros and ones. It's a human. So that's what matters. I think at the end of the day, don't lose the artist, man. That's so scary.
Mm, true. So, The Payment was released in 2019 and Hippo in 2025. Why did you take such a long gap to make your next film?
When the payment came out, I was fairly young, and I don't know, it didn't get the reception I wanted,
Okay.
in terms of viewership and like people reaching out and things like that. It kind of like took away the wind out of my sails a bit because of that. But also, like, I had a weird experience posting, post making the payment and making payment. I had like a weird experience. I was very green, so a lot of things I was learning on the fly, and maybe I was not immature at the time to understand a lot of the stuff. So I was learning, but it kind of dissuaded me a bit. And then COVID happened. So after COVID, I just kind of like I'm like you think the apocalypse is about to go off, and you're like I was like, okay, is filmmaking sustainable for me, for my family's future, my future? So that was also a question of a sort of a curiosity, right? You're left with the why, or how. And then I think in 2022, I think I was talking to a friend, and like he was like, "Yo, like I think you should go back and do something, man. Like do something, whatever." And I was watching a lot of 40s movies at the time. It was fun because I like watching cinema, so watching the 40s and 50s black and white colored films. And I wanted to do something in noir, and so I sat down to write Hippo, a version of what Hippo it became, but a version. And I was like, okay, this I could make. This is easy. I could do this. Let's just keep it simple, and ergo, Hippo happened. But it was just like figuring what I want to do, because it's not filmmaking is not a choice to do. It's not a see. That's the thing. What's my biggest problem now is some people just do it as a fad. Oh, yo, cinema, bro, it's a fad. It's for me, it's not a fad. It's not like a passing cloud. It's if I fail in this, I fail. You know what I'm saying? Like if I mess up in this, there's no backup plan. There's no plan B. This is plan A, plan C, and Z. Like it's everything. So I have to take this serious. It's serious for me. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna make a movie and make my friends watch it. I'm trying to make it my career, and hopefully a good career if God blesses me that way. But like, and yeah, so it's I take it seriously. So I that's why I don't make. But now I'm changing my narrative about that. When I was younger, it was not as narrative like that, where it's like, oh, I'll make it serious. I'm going to focus on each script. Now it's like, okay, you know what? I have an idea. Let's try to develop the idea to be 5 minutes, and I'm going to make that 5 minutes and post that 5 minutes. And it's going to be a 3 act structured film. It might not be like a transformative characterization or whatever, but you know what? I'm going to try playing in the feel of a thriller film, or I'm going to play playing a horror movie or a comedy that's 6 minutes, and just try it, for fun. And that's where my brain is at right now. So yeah, but it's a journey of the 6 years trying to figure out who I am on that level is what kind of stopped me, because I think if I kept on going from where I was in 2019, I don't think I would have made Hippo. And I think I made the right decision by waiting and not making Hippo because, yeah, people loved Hippo, so that worked out for me.
Personally, I have to say, like, I really loved The Payment back in 2019 itself. I genuinely watched it and it was refreshing as an experience, and I was really blown away by the fact that it's your first film and your first
Thank
time
you.
like filmmaker. You were younger and you made it in Montreal, like within
Yeah,
the Tamil community itself. So I felt like it was a fresh new attempt and a bold one. And
thank
you
you.
did a really good job, seriously. Like I honestly wanted. That's why I reached out to you back in the time. I sent like uh, my feedback and I tried to share it around. The decision you took to come into this field itself is something that I really appreciate, and I think we need more filmmakers, artists from our community into this because it's a
I
really
agree.
good platform for us to tell our stories that are mostly not told. You know.
Exactly. And I thank you. Appreciate your words. I do appreciate them. I think that's what my mission statement is also, is to put Tamil people in a light that doesn't really reflect on us as much. In Hollywood, particularly, it's always like, oh, we're convenience store clerks, or we're the refugee who needs help, or we're that abusive, honor killing father, and that's it. Like we're South Asians as a group, we're always submitted into several roles, or we're the weirdo boyfriend. Mindy Kaling did it worse, where she did it in Never Have I Ever, where she had a Tamil lead, but Maitri, as much as I love Maitri, she's a great person. She was Tamil, but she wasn't Tamil. She was dancing. The way she wrote the character was so completely opposite of what. It's not. It's not indicative of us, and I feel like it's such a acceptable approach to uh, our stories versus our telling our stories. And I want to put like a lens to us, like, oh, yo, like Hippo. It's like, oh, yeah, like he's going through some stuff that you know reflect a lot of people, but you know what? Brown people go through it too, and I think that's why I want to make films in that light. Even with the payment, our main leads are Egyptian, and my main lead's an Egyptian man. Like it's who he is, and it's just because yeah, people like him also go through things like this. Not just Italians and Greeks and Irish. It's also us. There's, these things. That's always been my kind of goal because I feel like people don't tend to do that. They just focus on love stories and like comedy, but we could do more stories. We could do better stories. I think we could do richer stories. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm the end of be all. I think there are greater, better filmmakers than me out there. Like Tussi's good. Like Tussi's been making movies for years, and I like his stuff. And like Darshan, the guy I worked with, he's been, he kind of godfathered a lot of us in with his base real stuff. So I got to give props to where props is due. But I said that for me, it's just, I want to do things differently. I want to do it my way, and it's cool because between like my Tamil community, I really talk about myself out of it because I don't feel like I'm connected with it. I always feel like that community, especially in Montreal, is very gatekept. Like you gotta know people to work with those people, and it's just a headache and a half. But I think me to see, it's funny because when I met him, I kind of talked to him about like just bouncing ideas, and it felt like, oh, cool, like someone else I could talk to that he wants to just talk about movies. I think we're so sheltered, we shield our ideas so much, so it's hard to like reach out and talk. And I'm like, no, like I'll send him a script. I'm like, yo, dude, what do you think? He'll sit there, read it, and send me feedback, and I'll take his feedback and add to my stuff, and he'll do the same thing with me, and like, we'll just talk about stuff. And it's just like resources that I feel like ever since I show up on the scene, I don't know if it's me, but like I feel like now it's more open that people want to talk about it. When I was younger, it wasn't like that, man. Like it was hard to get opportunities. I know how to write. Yeah, you wouldn't hear from them, and it's a gatekeep kind of thing. And I think that's also the thing I want to do is branch out. Like there's Tamil talent everywhere, man. Like I want to work with Tamil cinematographers. I want to work with like Tamil composers and Tamil actors and set designers or whatever that may be. And that's what Box of Scraps is all about, right? We're volunteer based. We want to hear like I want to hear like, oh, yo, I have an idea of a story, but I want you to adapt it to the script. Cool. I don't mind doing that. I could do that for you. Like, sure, I would be happy to. I don't have to think about the story anymore. Someone else create the story. I could just adapt it, and I think that'd be fun. And I think that's what we're missing in our community, man. I think that's what we need to spearhead is communication, openness, and sharing. And once we do that, dude, because how could a diaspora that existed in Canada for close to 30 years or more, close to 40 years or so, have not reached the penultimate version of Hollywood? How does that one, even in Canada, within Canada, how are we done? Why are we? Because why? We gatekeep. We block ourselves off. We don't share ideas. We don't talk. We don't spread. We don't share. Like when someone reads a movie and it comes to my side, and if I like it, I'll share it. It was cool. But it's just helping out in that one way. Maybe I had like 20 people in my circle that watch my stuff, right? Those 20 people got to see your work. It's about sharing it, and I think we gotta stop gatekeeping, man. We gotta stop blocking other people from learning.
We have talents in here, we have people in here, but the problem that we have is like we are not really ready or like in contact. Like we live both in Montreal, and we just recently got to meet each other or to speak to each other.
Exactly. Like when my friend, like this kid reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and I have to read a script. Oh my god, I have to do that still. But he reached out to me like, "Hey man, like yeah, I have a script. I want you to read it. Can you tell me what you think?" I'm like, "Sure, man. I'll do it for you." But like he's like, "I'm so sorry. I don't want to bother you." I'm like, "No, like don't worry about it, man. Like I may not be big, but I'm gonna help you in the small capacity I can because it's what I like to do. If you make it, great. If I don't make it, you make it. It's great. One of us makes it. It's what matters, man. It's not a rat race. It's a caravan. We're all following each other to the same destination. One guy gets in first. That's it. That's the only difference.
Well said.
So
Well said.
yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's how we all got brought up. We're all raised in a competitive way. You gotta be smarter than that guy. You have to get first in class like that person. You have to get the best degrees than that guy. It's this rat race mentality that is in our community that sucks because it's sucking out the human aspect of it all. We're not like that, man. Humans are different.
True.
And I think that's very important to talk about.
I think in Toronto, like the Tamil community is more active and they are engaging together collectively. I see that they're like the creators over there, like there are a lot of filmmakers, actors, like you said, Darshan, the Basement Reels itself, like they are doing an awesome job over there.
Yeah.
But I seriously want, that's why I'm actually doing this today, It's I want to bring in people together and we can collab, right?
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
think it's really important here. Like Tamil people, we have plenty of stories, especially Elam. Like we have a
Yeah,
lot of stories that are
exactly.
untold,
Yeah,
and people like us who are engaged in this and who we have built up in a certain image, right? So we can do things and together, not like alone, right?
yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing. Like, it's also like encouragement when you're working with someone. When I was working on Hippo and we had Darshan and Shazi and like besides Randy, who was the only kind of white dude in our set, our group, it was such a shorthand to talk to everybody. With Randy, it's different because he and I have a shorthand because I worked with him many times and I know him like, in a personal sense. So I'm able to shorthand with him much well as well. But with my Tamil guys, it's such an easy way to shorthand. You're like, yo, bro, remember that movie? Like, Leo, I want to do that Leo shot or like that master shot. We'll sit there and like, oh, which shot again? We'll go back. Oh, yo, I remember that. And you can talk about it, dissect it. And like, okay, I want to do this similar shot like this. Okay, let's do it. And it's just an easy way to do it. And it's so encouraging because you're not alone. We're all in the same boat. We're not just running a race and like, you're not better than me because you get X amount of views. We're all in the same pocket. We're all in the same
Exactly.
space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think people senior to us should understand that too. It's like, no, but then again, they worked hard to get to the places they are, right? So I can't say that either. But just like sometimes, it was crazy. Sean Vincent Paul, the rapper, um, I reached out to him a couple years ago, and then we were just talking, and he was really cool. He encouraged me. He was talking to me about stuff, and he was a really cool dude. And now he's more popular than he was before, but like it was helpful. Like, oh, like yo, like this guy sat down 2 minutes to have a DM with me, and like it was cool. Like even though it was a very casual conversation, nothing personal. It was cool to have that. It's kind of encouraging. Oh, like I reached out to this guy, he talked to me, and he's in a different place in his career, and I was able to communicate with him. It's encouraging for us, and so I mean, even for people younger than me, like it. Besides my filmmaking stuff, like as an animator and as a visual effects a guy who works in visual effects, when I tell people to think, wait, I could do that too, and I'm like, yeah, you could do that. What's stopping you? Like, just because you have to be, your parents say you have to be an engineer and doctor because back in the day it counts as clout, doesn't mean that's what it is today. You could be anything you want to be. You're in a free country, bro. Like, now look at me. People could look at my TV and be like, oh, I could be an actress because she made it. And I think that's why we got to work hard and work together to get to a spot so that kids younger than us, my kids, could be like, oh, if Tussie makes it big as a filmmaker, yo, I could be like a filmmaker like Tussie, and like that's cool, completely cool. Like, it's fine because they got to see someone like that. And if we gatekeep, we block that off. We're just discouraging ourselves. Like, what is that crab story? Tamils always tend to. You ever heard that crab story?
Yeah, yeah,
There's a bunch of
yeah. Tend to
Tamil.
bring down
Yeah,
the other Tamil rising one.
yeah, and it sucks. It's dumb. It's not okay. Like,
No,
and we tend to
actually,
do that.
yeah, yeah. It actually it's painful to hear.
Yeah,
We are people that today the Tamil language itself is the oldest one, and it's like so valuable. We have a culture that's rich. We have like art is actually part of our culture.
hmm
You know, we can tell a lot of stories. We can make a lot of arts, drawing, like music. We have plenty of things. But
yeah,
nowadays we tend to restrict ourselves with the idea of okay, no, engineer and doctor, it's ideal, man. That's
yeah.
sustainable.
It's safe.
Yeah.
It's a safe bet, which is also fair. It's fair because a lot of our family members come from public. I grew up in a lower middle class home, right? So the safe idea would be, oh, let's get a safe 9 to 5 job, work in that field. That's a safe space, and that makes sense for people to do that because, oh, I have to help my family. I have to do it, and it's great, and I'm proud of it because I did it too. I do 9 to 5. Besides the work I do, but I chose to do a 9 to 5 that's also in my field. Like I made that decision because I'm like, I'm not going to sit behind an office desk, and that's for me. That's just my story. That's not your story, right? But I think it's a safety net, and I think now we're in a generation we don't need the safety net for our kids. We could build that for them, and we got that's the primary thing to solve that is stop gatekeeping and stop blocking off the path for everyone else. Collab,
Mm.
work together. Let's branch out. Like, like, no, just keep it with your community. I know a guy that could do this music video. He's really good. Let me contact you with him. That's how I met Mayuri, right? Like, Mayuri, she did the voice of Cassandra and Hippo,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I was looking for an actress. I had worked with my best friend. She was supposed to be the voice, and her voice was so it sounded too young for the character. We recorded the whole dialogue. It just sounded too young. It just didn't work for me after because I took a pause, right, of my of making the film. I paused and I went back to like did some personal stuff and I came back home. So when I came back home, I went back and reviewed the film and I was like, I need to cast someone else because I need someone better, like someone better, but like someone with a richer voice. But I reached out to Tharshan, and Tharshan could have been like, I don't know anybody, right? He could simply not, man, I don't know. Like, I think you should find someone else, right? Like something like that. He could have said that, but he's like, you know what? I know somebody, Mayuri, and she worked with him on Basement Reels, and that's how Mayuri came on the scene. And I got introduced to her, and I got to meet this really cool mom, wife person that she was awesome to meet. And then she came on the thing. She did her voiceover. We did it within a couple weekends. She was great, and I got to her. And now we're good friends. And now, I could work with her again. I'm like, yo, hey, Mayuri, I got another project for you. Blah blah. And you go back to that with that. Well, but if Darshan chose not to connect us, that wouldn't have been the
Mm-mm-mm.
case, right? So I think we need to, like, that's why it's important to do that. I hate the word senior because I'm not senior to anything. I'm just a dude. But I think those who are actually in the field, as long as we have or quote unquote been in it, it's our responsibility to kind of do that. I think.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
For me, you're a
I'm a,
senior.
I guess so. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think we're all.
I told you that off camera before.
That's true. You did.
But yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah, and we actually spoke about this earlier as well. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you tend to have a lot of experience about that. That's why you were like, no, people gatekeep a lot here. But I also like I'm trying to establish that as well, like projects to work everyone together. Like I think it's really important for us right now at this point where like the whole world is watching us. Like Tamil community is rising, but what we need is to collectively we need to build a community where we can actually get together, work with each other. Like you said, you're interested to work with Tamil cinematographers, technicians over there. But I think we can work together, all together, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a
And I
lot of
think
talents here.
exactly. And I think that's very important because uh, I think what we need to start doing is like building a festival or something where we all can interact. And I think I remember I was talking to somebody about it. I'm like, I want to do that where it's like we could build like a community about it, like a Facebook group or whatever it may be, just to like talk, bounce ideas. Like, hey, bro, I need a guy to do a shot for me. Do you anyone? I got an actor. I need some extras for the shot. Okay, get. I got some people, but just getting to know each other on the level.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
filmmaking is for me is telling a narrative story on behind a lens. That's what filmmaking is to me. But filmmaking is
Mm.
not. That's my definition. But that's not the definition. People who do uh, wedding photography, they're telling a story through pictures. Those who
We
do.
have plenty of that
We
here.
have plenty of that. Those who do wedding shoots, they are doing stories, telling a love story through a lens, their lens. And I think so. Filmmaking doesn't. For me, the definition is a narrative story because I think that's why I would. That's why I don't really do those things because it's not my style. I can't wrap my head around it. It's
Yeah,
not thing
yeah.
against
Same
the
gear.
art form. It's not I think against the art form. It's just wrapping my head around it, right? So I don't have that sensibility, but I have sensibility for narrative storytelling. And on a narrative storytelling basis, like it's really hard to point in Montreal how many filmmakers there are. And I'm not even like between me and Tusi has a bigger audience than I do. I don't even have the range. I'm not dissing him right now. I'm just saying like on the range of that, like Tusi has a better audience than I do, like in terms of like filmmaking. So my reach is still small, but I'm hopefully getting there. So, but if Tusi was like if Tusi decided, hey man, I don't want to talk to this guy has nothing to me, no, I wouldn't have met him. But he was such a cool dude. I remember our first time talking, we were just talking about movies. We talked about Tom Cruise, and we just started shooting ideas and stuff. And he was a cool dude, and he's a friend. Like now we're friends. Like it's such a space. And why? Because we built that. We didn't gatekeep each other. We built that community, and it's just
True.
two of us. If imagine we had more guys, yo, bro, I was writing the script, man, but I just don't know how to develop it. I don't know how to produce it. Okay, I can't get you the money, but I could produce it for you. I could help you work on the shots, schedule it. That's my job. Let me do it for you. I can help you. And we could build that. And I think that's a cool thing. And that's why like when I first reached out to him, like, yo, like, want to talk about this? Like, let's talk or whatever. Because I liked your stuff. I'm like, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. And I like your political ideas. And I was like, this guy's interesting. So I reached out. So it's just reaching out to each other and understanding each other and talking. It's very important and just not
Mm-mm-mm.
gatekeeping things and protecting ourselves from hopeful a phantom harm that will never come. I think that's what we do. We tend to not talk about stuff because we're like, oh, what if this guy betrays me? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there are weirdos out there, and some guys are people that you're like, whatever. But when you have the same things that you like or have the same interest, trust me, you build bonds that you don't expect to build. And for
Mm-mm-mm.
example, me and Shazni, my Shazni was my cinematographer, right? And I met him as a fan. I was working at Walmart at the time, and he was walking by to buy something for his mom. And I'm like, "Yo, aren't you the guy from like YouTube?" And he's like, "Yeah." And we just started talking, and that just grew. And now, like, we're really good friends. Like, I'm really tight, and we literally talk every day because we just don't talk about movies. We talk about life. We talk about everything. Just talk. And uh, but I met a good friend out of it. If I had not made that stance, choose to be like, get out of my comfort zone, get out of my shyness, my introvertness a bit, and spread out my wings, and be like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you. When I reach out, maybe that would never happen, right? And I got a great cinematographer out of it because Hippo, I was looking for a cinematographer, and he's like, I pitched it to him, and before that, I was bouncing ideas off him too, right? By Hippo, and I'm like, yo, you want to do cinematography? Because I didn't couldn't find anyone in my brain to be like, you could do this cinematography because it's a very specific shot choices, right? We're not doing like very crazy stuff. We had a specific idea of how we want to shoot it, and I knew him being a fan of cinema as I do because he was not like a lot of people are not. They're usually either Hollywood or Tamil cinema. There's never a world cinema. It's really rare to meet guys like that, especially within our community, and that has an intensive knowledge of cinema as I do. And when we met, it was like brothers from another mother, like, literally, because we both had the same interest aligned that was like this tight. So when I reached out to him, I was like, "Yo, do you want to do it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay." So I could like spitball films and ideas that I wanted to shoot like, and he's like, he knew. Oh, yo, I know that movie. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Kurosawa, right? I'm like, yeah, yeah. That's a shot. We went with it. And so, but if I didn't make that choice, right? So I honestly, my advice though also is, it's like people say to when you want to talk to a girl, like the worst thing she can say is no. Same thing applies to people. You could reach out to somebody and be like, oh, I hope they just say something. Yeah, they might be like, who's this guy? Don't talk to you. Now you even see your DM. That's fine. That's completely cool too. But there's some people like, yo, well, oh, this guy's interesting. I want to talk to him. Same thing with you, right? When you first shot me your DM back in payment time, I could have been like, oh, well, I don't want to talk with these guys, I don't, whatever. But I'm like, oh, this guy actually had something to say. He was really kind to me. Okay, sure, I'll respond. And I responded. But just because you're scared of the no doesn't mean you shouldn't go for the yes, right? So just go for it, and you missed 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So I think you should do that, and that's why like I'm very strong about community. Don't gatekeep because don't put that barrier of oh, I'm better than you or whatever. Like even like
Yeah.
reaching out to an actress, right? Like, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of thousand DMs that are like really annoying from guys, whatever. But also reach out to actors. Just reach out to them in a professional way. Yeah, you're nervous and scared, like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna say yes or not, but just reach out. Actors, same thing. Like, yo, I saw you do this role, man. Do you want to do this? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, dude, can I talk to you about that? And no, and same thing. Like right now, I'm currently casting for my second short film, and I got my actor, but it took me a bit to get to that point, and I had to go and it was a specific look I was looking for, and I met this dude just on a fluke. We started talking, and we had talked before, but we just started talking again, and he had been to be an actor. I didn't know, like he's a professional actor, and I didn't know, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, would you be interested? Is this role? We sat down on a video call. Now he's in the film, right? I think he's in the film. We haven't really put the signature to it, so hopefully we will. But 95% chance he's going to be in it. So it's just like that shyness. Oh, man, it took me a long time to break that because I'm an omnivert by nature. So I'm tend to be like an introvert when I don't need to talk to people. When I do, I'm kind of extrovert. I don't really shy like as you see right now. Like, but it took me a while because you can't just be a filmmaker in your garage, dude. You got to network. You have to talk to people. You got to branch out. You have to make that step. It's the hardest part for film geeks because most of us are very shy people. That's why we like cinema because we're in our own zone and we get to travel different worlds because some of us, not most, but some of us are because that's how we are, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
the hardest thing to branch out. Be like, I'm going to go talk to this guy.
True.
It's hard, but you got to make that step because, like Seth
Hey.
Rogen once said, no one knows you're making movies in Timbuktu unless you branch out, right? So,
How was your experience working with Tamil creators in Hippo?
like I said earlier, it was a great experience to be honest. When we were working at Hippo, it was weird because it was such a dark story, right? So we knew from the get like how I knew from the get that I didn't want the set to be like dark. So I like it was funny. I'd be like don't say no, like don't make a lot of noise or whatever. But this time around, I'm like yo, let's just enjoy it. Like let's just have fun because such dark subject matter, right? And what was so cool was working with Tamil creatives. It was such a like I was like working in my family because we were like talking two different languages, sometimes three. So it was just like bouncing that around, talking about Tamil movies, Tamil comedy, Tamil food and things like that. We had roles as like you know like set food. We had roles and whatever. Like that's what we had, right? And we introduced
Mm-mm.
Randy to that. We're like, yo, eat that, So it was cool to have that like level of fun and enjoyment. And that was so cool when it came to Darshan and me. It's like, oh yeah, he's from Base Reels. I've been watching for like years when he's doing Base Reels, but when he came on set, it was just two guys trying to make a movie together, and that's how we looked at it. And I think that's take away that stigma of like comparison, and that's what made the set life fun because we didn't have that stigma. We were just hanging out, and there was no like ego or anything like that. And because Tarshan genuinely is not. Tarshan is not a genuinely not a egotistical person. He's such a sweetheart, like genuinely. So it's so hard to be like, oh, like he's from Basement because he's like, he didn't even talk about we had less talk about that. I didn't even talk to him about Basement Reels or any of that stuff. Though we kind of mentioned, oh yeah, he did this, but that was pretty much it because we were just talking about movies. We'll talk about cinema. We'll talk about filmmaking, or we'll talk about life, like or whatever, and just that's what we did. And even on set, and we shot the film within a day and a half. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, whole chunk of it was done in a day. The full movie was majority done in a day. We did a couple of scenes the night beforehand, and then we did pickup shots later on.
Okay.
At the beginning of the film, where you see the hand come up with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gun,
yeah.
that's me. That's not Darshan. That's my hand. I had wore his
Oh.
jacket and I did it. So things like that. That's the pickup shots we did, but the rest of it was all on within a day. We shot
Uh,
the entire film within a day.
you filmed it in Montreal, and how was
No,
okay.
we shot it like 4 hours away in Ontario.
Okay.
Just a middle point between us and Darshan and all the guys that were helping us from Toronto. They had met us halfway, and we were meeting them halfway. So we found a place in Bancroft, Ontario, and yeah, that's where we did it. Yeah,
So
and we
like
shot.
you both joined for a day and then you
Yeah,
guys did. Oh
yeah, we
wow.
split. Yeah, and what was so crazy was we shot the film guerrilla style because we didn't tell the Airbnb that we're shooting a film there, right? Because we had to kind of give them a heads up that we are.
True.
So we didn't tell them that, and then so we had to do outside shots too. So excuse me. So we had to be like, let's do it quick. Like do the shot, go. Do the shot, go. And because we as a team, I like rehearsals. I don't like doing shots. I don't like wasting my actors' time. So like let's just come and shoot it. I don't like doing that. I like to be like prepared, rehearse, go through the characters, understand the characters, live the characters, and let's jump into it. So it cuts down the time in a way. So when you're on set, you just go into it, right? And so because we did all that prep, I like to prep. I like pre-production a lot. Since all that prep, it made the shooting go by fast because we already knew what the shots are and everything. And I drew my storyboards, right? I'm an animator, so I drew my own storyboard. So we had the boards. So I was like, okay, this is the shot we're doing. Darshan gonna stand here. That okay? You know the characters, go. And we just shot it and go. And but sometimes I'll give them notes. Of course, I'm a director, but like most of the time, just getting the team organized and going through it, it was easier. Yeah, that was fun because all the
Cool.
notes were done in pre-production, right? So we don't have to worry about notes on set unless it's like unless Darshan or Randy needed some help, then yeah, we would jump on set and do it. But like most of the time, because they knew, like, oh Sean, so this is the part, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it, and he'll go into it. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. That's why I think when I was talking to them yesterday, because we had like a reunion call yesterday just to talk about filmmaking, and I was telling them how all the good stuff, all good movies come from spontaneity. You should really look at the filmmaking aspect of it.
True.
Like Quentin Tarantino, his Reservoir Dogs, a lot of it was spontaneous choices because he had no money, so he had to figure out
Mm-mm.
things on the fly. And the same thing with us, we made a lot of spontaneous choices and decisions on the day. Like I wrote a whole film without a picture of the cabin in my mind. Right, I with a picture of the cabin in mind. When we got to the cabin, I don't even know what this is. It's the first time seeing it because we rented an Airbnb. I never got to go inside. So the first time walking in, I'm like, okay. Well, I got to retool a lot of the stuff. So we get there right away, like just on the spot, like figure things out. So, but all that worked out in our favor because it made the film more contained versus being more expanded.
When did you shot this movie specifically, and how was the post production
Uh,
going
oh yeah,
on?
we shot it in 2023
Okay.
April, last week of April or something. And then we started editing it right away. Me and Shazni, we started editing it like maybe the week after. Um, and it took us a bit to get the picture lock done. And then I had to take care of some personal stuff, so I was gone for a year. So 2024, it was pretty much a write off. So that's why it took. It actually was supposed to come out last year. It just came out this year, and so then I picked up everything in November of 2024, and we've been pre-production since. And yeah, That's where we started everything. And actually, the dubbing started then because we originally were going to go with the original dialogue and what was in the script, like what was shot with, but it just wasn't good enough. And so we like, let's dub it. So we did redubbing a lot, and that's why the audio is way better because we dubbed everything, which was great. And but that took us like a couple months, and the music too, a couple months. So all of it together, like within from January to March, we just work, and we were able to get the whole film done. So the whole film was done. Like we were actually more in post production in 2025 January than we were before then. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the making of, I guess.
One thing that I noticed with your both films that you did is that you love to play with flawed characters, with dark themes, and the Payman and Hippo, they both were thrillers and covered up dark themes. So how do you come up with these kind of characters? How do you write them, and how do you come up with such stories?
It's funny because when I wrote the payment, it was I like gangster movies a lot, and I like that environment. I like even the way I dress. I dress sort of like more rustic or whatever because I like that type of vibe. And I think clean characters are boring characters. Flawed characters have an interesting arc to them. Even biblically saying, right, like the story of David in the Bible. For instance, I'm Christian, so I'm going to go by that aspect. The biblical story of David in the Bible, he's a flawed man, but he's the most beloved man by God because God chose him, right? All these things, but he's flawed. He has a lot of problems with him. He's a lustful man. He's all these things, but he's a very interesting character because beyond that, he's a good person. Because character flaws are just character flaws. They're just a part of who you are. But if you are underlining just genuinely a good person, like if you look at Luke in Payment, his biggest thing was, yeah, he's a killer. He's a mom hitman, quote unquote, but he killed a girl, and that really destroyed him because genuinely he's a good person. He only hurt people that deserved it or needed to do it. And I think I don't know why I find that interesting because it's innate in me to like go. I think because I look at people not as clean as people say they are. I think it goes back to like Tamil community standards. Well, just Panna, like he's a good guy. He wears white and white, he's a good guy. He wears black and black, he's a bad guy. He's a Karappa, he's black. He's good. It's not that he's simple. Humans. I've seen guys who pretend to be holy Bible thumpers and are terrible people. So take what you will from that. So I don't like to look at people as black and white. I look at them as gray. And I think that's why Hippo, I think we talked about JD's character was JD innately is a good man. He loved his family. He chose a coward's decision. Cowards, quote unquote. People go through this every day and they're not cowards. It's just bad timing and bad lifetime. But he chose the coward's way out, quote unquote. But he's genuinely did it for his thinking that was good. Innately, he was a good person. I think that's what we are as humans. We tend to be good, even though we have flaws. Those who say they're good and they claim to be good and act good are flawed. No matter how you slice it. It could be, oh yeah, they're a good man, but they yell at their wife every day. Doesn't mean they're terrible people. They just have a bad with their temperament. But they're good people at the end of the day. They take care of their family. They take care of their wife. They take care of their things. Are they a good husband? No, but they're a good person. It's such a different area. It's not defined as such. It's not like, oh, if you're a good husband, you're a good person. It's a two different kind of problem. I don't know how you feel about that, but it's kind of how I see it. That's what makes my characters good because they find that thin line to live it. Like, what's it? Melissa Kodu?
Yeah, Melissa Nakodu.
Like, that's what it is. It's like Luke is that line. He's like that thin line. Like, I could be good, I could be bad. He made that choice. When he killed that girl, he made like, oh crap, I killed that girl. And it affected him. That's why he says again, oh man, it affected me. Like, it still bothers me. Like, it's not a choice that I wanted to make, but it happened. He didn't want it to happen, Yeah. And same thing with JD and yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of Old Boy, a little bit. That arc.
Yeah. Like that's what's so cool. Like if you look at Master, right? Master, like he was a bad teacher in a sense, right? Like he didn't care. Like he cared about students, but he didn't care about anything else. Like
Yeah, he's
whatever.
careless.
He's careless. But when what happened to those kids happened, it's like his inner nature, his good person, which is existent, because everyone said, "Oh, he's a good guy," came out. He came out, and I think that's what makes why I like writing those type of characters, because it also makes it interesting to write. You're like sitting there trying to figure out, because you could fall into that trap of like, oh, he's a good guy from start to finish, like those old school '90s movies that in Tamil cinema, like there's a lot of those Sarat Kumar movies, like what's that movie, man, with the Murali? and him. They have a sister. Abbas is in it too. Samudram.
Samudram.
Some of them. They're all good guys from start to finish. There's no flaws. There's nothing wrong with them. They're innately just good people, and that's
Yeah,
boring to me.
even if they have conflicts, it gets
It's
resolved
so,
easily.
resolved so fast, and it's like oh, South Kumar, he's the older brother. Nothing he could do, no wrong, absolutely no wrong. But in the film, he does so much wrong, but no one really talks about it. Let's explore that. That's interesting for me. Let's explore. Like he made a choice that leaving his sister in that abusive relationship, that was a bad choice.
Mm-mm-mm.
He made that call. He's the older brother. He could have went then because back. I'm talking about like on the Eastern mentality side. He's the older brother. He could have went in and dealt with it, but he chose not to. He's like, oh, because what they would say, whatever. And for me, that's a flawed character. That's not a good character in no sense of me. And maybe that's what it is, I guess. At the end of the day, even though he had to make these tough choices, he still was a good man. So much interesting to explore that wrong, I feel,
Yes.
versus like because it makes that character like, oh, like South Korea. If they had a scene in Samudram, right? Samudram?
Samudram.
If they had a scene where South Korea actually talks about, don't you think I want to hurt them? Don't you think I want to kill them? But I can't. I can't allow that to my. And that a scene like that would have been so much stronger, which is just him being up Avi and playing music in the background. If he had a scene where he's conflicted with his own ideas, that's what makes it rich, because you add extra layer to. Oh yeah, he is a good man. I give you that, and the characterization at the end makes sense. Great, but let him have conflict within himself. That's actually kind of more interesting. And Hippo, even though it's a 14-minute movie, we want to explore that aspect of him conflicting. That's why those voices are his voices, because both of them are conflicting ideologies within himself. So that was,
Multidimensional.
I guess, yes, exactly. And the funny part is, when I wrote Hippo initially, that wasn't the story, right? That
Oh,
was not even close to what I wrote initially, right? So how it came to be just sort of came to be. It came genuinely through the writing process. Like we wrote it, I wrote it, and I wrote it as I was writing the first draft. The ending part as I was writing it, and so I'm like, oh, yeah, I like this ending. Let's go back and retool the beginning to make this ending more better. And because the ending deals with such a weird subject matter, a bad subject matter, and essentially, um, it's a careful thing. We had to toe that line carefully, because you can be very gimmicky with it. Oh, he does that at the end, or he doesn't. And I sat with it so long to make sure the line wasn't gimmicky, that it was genuinely true to it. I don't know how you felt about the ending, but like that was my goal, was to make, well, not my goal, me and Shazzy's goal, to make sure it wasn't gimmicky. I remember when I first sent her the draft, my dude, tell me if this is gimmicky or not, because I don't want it to be gimmicky. And he looked at it and he's like, like if you tweak up the writing a bit, we can make it better ending. And you know, yeah, it's funny because he's the one that brought the aspects about a daughter and a family part of it, and I was like, I didn't want that because I don't like flashbacks, so I had to like figure out a way to write it. And then he's like, why don't you think about putting that? Maybe something like that would be cool. So then I went back and I'm like, okay, let me write that part of it. Let me see if I could tool with that. And that's what became Cassandra and his daughter. Like that's where Cassandra was born. So it was good. It's good to have feedback like that to bounce ideas. Because trust me, if I kept it the way I did, it would have been a pretty bad movie for sure.
but I think his contribution did worked well, because the family part was actually giving a new dimension to that character and made it more interesting. He has a
Yeah,
conflict that he has to deal with it.
he was. Yeah, um, and it was so cool because that's why we chose it to be a one location film, because of the claustrophobicness of it all, right? To choose, he can't escape that space. He's in it now, and I think when I decided that, it made it much more easier to shoot as a short film too. It makes it more easier. My advice to those who are making short films: don't think location, location, location. Think less location, less location, less location. Because locations are great. You could have multiple locations and make it cool and rich and make the movie, but you're gonna waste resources and time if you don't have a budget even. But if you don't have any more, like a budget, go for a less location, but build a rich story in there that less location. Build it. You could build a lot of characterization with just acting. Get a good actor behind it. Get a good, write it. Take your time writing it. Go for the skies in the writing department, and then tweakle it down. That's what I would say. That's what we did with Hippo, right? I wrote like a huge, like it was a 14-minute movie that I wrote, and it was supposed to be in a hotel room. We're gonna have a cast of 5 people. It was a whole different story. Then I shrunk it and shrunk it and shrunk it and shrunk it. I'm like, wait, no, let's make it more personal. Let's make it more claustrophobic. Let's make it like this. And with Shazzy's little aids here and there, that he actually, we had meetings, man. We would sit in like Tim Hortons. We sit down and we'll have the paper and we'll just talk. Yo, what do you think, yo, man? I don't know, man. What do you think about this? And he'll sit there, maybe just do that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. And I'll take his ideas and I'll go, or I'll have my ideas. I'll pitch it to him. Say, yo, that's a good idea. Go with that. And then that's how we went back and forth with it. Because when you write by yourself, you tend to do that, where you're like, oh, I know the information, so ergo. And that was kind of scary with me with Hippo because I was like, oh, like, uh, I know JD's an army guy, but does that convey that well? Well, it's not lost because if you ask me questions, I could point out certain things that makes it show that he was in the army. You know, so that's what I was doing. But I mean, it's not, but it's a character trait, but not a character importance. That was how like I kind of looked at it because thankfully we worked with Shaz and it was easy to kind of bounce back ideas. Yeah.
Looking back at the payment, do you think the story could be expanded way more into a full length feature film? And can it be done with Tamil actors later on?
Yeah, I think it could be done with Tamil actors.
Okay.
I don't think. I think it. Here's the thing. I think that's the problem we have a lot is that we tend to be like, oh, can a Tamil actor fit that? Tamil people can fit in any situation. We're all people. We're all humans. The only difference between my living and an Italian guy's living is cultural differences. So if I'm going to write the payment, I'm going to introduce some Tamil culturism into it. That's not overshadowing the story, but it'll be aiding the story. That's the only
Mm.
difference in that aspect. Like instead of Luke being a single father, he has a terrible relationship with his wife. I would show him and his wife argue because really rare do people in our community divorce. Really rare, right? There's a lot of divorces. I'm not saying, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a smaller percentage versus in a Eastern European country community or whatever, right? So that's the aspect. Like him, instead of him arguing with his wife on the phone and whatever, I would have made it flip that part. Or his job is like he would have spoken with an accent and because he's probably just from off the boat. So maybe that's an aspect I'll add. Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's like a second generation like I am. So these are the things I would probably like do extra to make it sort of fit a Tamil character. But it's not that different. Like even with Hippo, sorry, I'll go answer your other question too. But like with JD, right? I could swap JD with any other person.
Mm.
Do you understand? Like I could swap it, and it could be the same character. It could be an Italian guy, and instead of like "I'm sorry, Appa" or like "Up, Happy Birthday, Appa" in the card, I would write something else like "Dad" or whatever. So that's how simple I would have done with the payment. It's just like a little bit of cultural additions to it to make it more richer for the character. But Luke won't change. Luke is the same guy. It's just a different color. But for the question about would I could I make this a longer? Hell yeah. Heck yeah, I would have made it longer. I think one of the people was like, yo, I want more of this, man. Like I want more of the story. The way I write short films is like I write it as a second act.
Oh, okay.
So I jump into it versus like we're already building the story from scratch. I'm like, the story's happening. We're just the movie that you guys are watching is from the middle point onwards. And that's how I kind of write it. So with the payment,
Mm-mm-mm.
like even the payment, we were like, I remember we had a reunion with the payment, which I'm going to put out some snippets soon. I have to edit it. It's such a long video. I have to edit it down. But when we were talking about it, we talked about a sequel because I'm like, I wanted to develop a sequel. Like it just came to me like recently. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do a sequel to it, and hopefully we do
That would
it
be
because
cool.
yeah, I would like to do it. I just want to get the story right. I don't want it to be like a gimmicky sequel. So we'll see if we get to do it. And also like now some of the actors are grown, so some of them are union and stuff. So it's a different kind of ballgame.
Oh, okay,
So you have
yeah.
to kind of like work around that. But if not so, like I would like to continue that story and tell it because I I had written a whole character arc, right? Each character had a story, and like I wrote it all. Like I wrote Luke's story and Ian's story, and like so on. So I wrote their story. That it's so funny when we were in the reunion. We realized that they don't say each other's names, not even once. Except Luke. Everyone else's names you don't really hear it. So I have their
Mm-mm-mm.
names. I have their names written and stuff. So yeah, like it's definitely could have been longer. I could have. That's the one thing I was like telling people. Like the one thing I wish I had done differently in the payment. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but the one thing I would have done is developed Randy's character a bit more for sure. That's definitely what I would have done. But yeah, to answer your question, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
You produced Hippo with Bucks of Scraps production. So, how was the experience of being the producer of your film? And what is your vision with your production company?
Actually, both films were produced by Box of Scraps. I just
Okay.
changed the name. Right, my
Oh, okay.
original name was Arts Productions. I converted to Box of Scraps because I felt like it's more indicative of who we are. We make movies literally out of Box of Scraps. But as a producer, man, it's a being a short filmmaker. You wear a lot of hats. Like it's a must. You gotta if you can't balance the hat game, then you're gonna have a hard time because you gotta be AD, director, set designer, costume designer, like everything is you at that
Mm.
point, right? So being a producer on the side of things, it was harder because like I'm sitting there and also like parts of my paycheck went to it, right? Like I didn't fund it, I self funded it. So putting a lot of movie money to something that won't come back to you, it's hard. But I was willing to make that sacrifice because I wanted to make this movie right. And I always try to make my films with less budget as possibly can. So I try to use resources I can, costumes at home or Village de Valeur or whatever I could find and put it together and make it. But being a producer, like it's fun. It's fun, but very hard. Like you have to know a lot of things and like be able to be like 10 steps ahead before the game starts. Like I gotta go be like, okay, if I go to set and there's an injury happen, do I have a first aid kit? Do I have what's the local ambulance? What's the local hospital? I gotta think about these things. You have to. But as a director, I don't worry about it. As a producer, I gotta sit there and worry about it because it affects me at the end of the day, right? It's my money going to waste if I can't shoot that day. So I gotta find another day as all the ball game. So I gotta prepare for all of it, and food wise or whatever. So it's just thinking on those levels. But as a future, I don't know if I want to keep producing my own stuff. To be honest, I would love to find a producer to help me with that stuff because I'm not a very logistical person. I'm logistical in terms of art, but I'm not logistical in terms of money. I don't have that mind in me at all, and I'm still trying to work on that. That's a personal thing, but as an artist, like it's I'm a logistical person on that because I know exactly like when I'm breaking down the script, I know what I'm breaking down and things like that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. But would you produce other movies like not directed by you or?
Yeah, I would love to. I would like to help people. Like I can't do funding wise. Like I can't be like, oh, I'll give you like $10,000. Do I can't that I can't do. But if you be like, hey, can you produce this movie for me? Like I want you to help me find people. Like this, I'll try my best to get that going and help you out for sure. But for me, like yeah, it'd be like that'll be the thing. Of course, also distribution wise, am I distributing? Is Box Scraps distributing it or are you distributing? And that's a different question, right? That's a discussion too. So it's all those questions about like that level of thing. But I've always been I actually more than want to produce somebody else's work, I want to direct somebody else's work.
Mm.
I want to direct someone else's writing. I got someone else to write it, pitch it to me, and if I like the story, I want to develop it. Like take your writing, put my little tweaks to it, and direct it myself. Like that's what
Yeah.
I would like to do.
Yeah.
That's been my dream. I'm so because it's not because I'm lazy or like I don't want to do it myself, but I like to like sometimes you don't think about stories. Someone else has a story, you're like, oh, I like that. I think I can play around with that that game. That's what I would love to do for
No,
sure.
that's really good because we
Mm-hmm.
need more writers, especially. So like a lot of people are more inclined to write, and others are more good in direction.
But it's also it's people because I think because it comes from the Tamil cinema world because you're writer directors. But it's not like that. It's not common like that, right? It's not a thing in Hollywood or whatever. It's usually writers, and sometimes the director helps, or sometimes co-writes. But most of the time, it's writers and directors. They're two different jobs. That's why I want to direct people. Because I'm like, yo, like I never thought about that romantic story. I want to do a romantic film. Let me do it. I would like to do it for sure.
Yeah.
I want to. One thing I want to do is adapt a story. Like, oh, bro, I have a short story I wrote. It's pretty cool. What do you think? I'm like, oh, if I like the story, I'm like, oh, can I adapt this as a screenplay and I'll direct it? Like, I would like to do that too. Um, yeah, I think more creative things for me I would like to do versus like logistical things. But yeah.
That's really cool. Do you have any plans to direct a full-length Tamil film soon?
Yeah, I would like to do it. But I think I would like, yeah, because like you grew up with him, man. It'd be so weird if I said no to that because I would love to. I think me and Shazzy talked about that a lot. Like, I want to direct a Tamil film. Like, he, I want to do the song sequences. I want to do the fight scenes. I want to do it like my style, but not like too like Hollywoodized either. I want to do it fun, and I want to go back to how '90s films were done and do it that way.
Oh
Yeah,
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 that's my plan as well. Like I
yeah,
really want to bring those vibes back.
yeah. And I want to tell stories like that, like in a fun way, and take
Yeah.
out the cringiness of the modern way of writing comedy. And I want to go classic comedy, like Panchatandiram and like
Mm.
Panchatandiram and like Sachin and stuff like that. Like I want to go back to that type of comedy style and stuff. Like just have fun with it.
Yeah, I really like the good old Rajini movies and
Mm-hmm.
Vijayakanth movies back in the 90s, 80s.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
really would
It's
love
funny
to do
because
that.
like people talk about Vijayakanth like, oh, what are you talking about, the sub body guy? I'm like, no, I'm not talking about sub body guy. I'm gonna like Chinda counter, that
Oh.
Vijayakanth, like You guys have not seen Vijayakanth. For me, Vijayakanth was the original action actor.
Yeah,
You know,
action
he
hero
did
of
like
Tamil
action
cinema.
hero,
Yeah.
yeah, Tamil cinema. Like he did like stuff like Rambo films, like that type of stuff back in the 80s. People just don't watch it because it's not well lit or well shot because they don't have that technology back then, so it's hard for them. But like some stuff, I was like, Vijayakanth's a solid actor, man. Like he was really cool. Later in the 2000s, he became like a Chuck Norris sort of meme to himself. Where I mean, I respect the man. I respected what he did for Tamil Nadu and stuff like that. So respects to him. But like, um, what he did to cinema, like back then, like even the 90s, introducing like Vijay and like, helping actors get their own films and things like that is
No,
incredible.
he's fantastic, and actually, he's also a great actor. Like you brought up, like
Mm.
his earlier films, he was acting in roles that not many big stars would do.
Mm-hmm. I think he cared about the characters. He cared about the story, and he
Exactly.
cared about the impact of the stories that would do for his people. And I think that's very interesting. A lot of directors, some actors do that, but not a lot of actors actually do it. And Vijay actually did it. He's a captain for a reason, man.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
I'm not. I'll. He may not be the best looking guy. He may not be the tallest looking guy. He may not be the most fittest guy. If I show him that he was a hero, the people are like, what the flip, like this guy. But Vijay was awesome, man. Like he was a cool dude. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like his
yeah.
stuff, man. And what he did for the Ilam people too, man. Respects.
I really loved Chatriyan because I felt after watching Basha, like I felt that Chatriyan was the one that initiated that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
in
yeah. Chatrian's
Chatriyan
great.
was badass.
Yeah, and was it Ramana? Is it Ramana? The one he did with A. Ramana.
Ramana, yeah,
Ramana.
that
Oh,
one.
that was so
I
good.
I cried a lot by the end.
The
Like he actually broke that myth. The
mhm.
hero wins at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end. Like he
yeah,
dies
yeah.
at the end.
I love Satyaraj too. I
Oh
love Satyaraj.
yes,
No one
Amity
talks about
Pade,
Satyaraj.
Amity
Oh
Pade.
my god. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amazing.
So I've noticed that you're a big Chian Vikram fan. So I wanted to first of all, I want to know how did you become a Chian Vikram fan, and if you had the opportunity to direct a movie with him, or to remake one of his own movie, what would that be, and
Oh
what kind
wow.
of genre would you explore?
Oh wow. Okay, cool. That's a really cool question. I love that question. So I became a Chian Vikram fan after Gemini. I watched Gemini. I'm like, yo, this guy is so cool. Like this old part and stuff. I thought his look looked cool and the way he acted was cool. And I just like, kind of liked him since then. And unfortunately, his career didn't reflect me. So after a while, it was so hard to watch his movies, but I still watch it because I'm a veteran. But yeah, that was the first movie that kind of kickstarted me into his like fandom because I loved. But he was kicking Dil and Dul
No,
and
he had a great golden period
great
back in the day.
golden period, man. But my favorite of his movies has always been Arul. Arul. I love Arul.
Oh
I love
wow,
Arul.
a lot of people don't speak about that movie.
Dude, I'm gonna come back to your question, but hold on. I hate the fact that Tamil movies don't have an ending. They always do that. They put the director and then they go to the credits and then the credits move and then they have a little clip of the ending going on.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
hate that. But remember watching Arul and it ended. There was an ending scene where the credits would go on top and I was like, it ended. Like, oh, this is the movie. But the characterization of Arul, he's a guy who his dad hates him, but he likes his dad. But he also can't. But he doesn't like his dad's ideas, you know. And it's just that conflict of his character. And then the funny comedy between Vadivela and him and Jodika was great. And Jodika and his romance was great. The story itself was cool. So a lot about it I like a lot. Like I like Dune, of course, and I like Gemini and I'm missing a movie here. I know I'm missing a
Sami.
movie. Sami. I like those movies. I can't deny it, but um, that was particularly like amazing. And it's also like the songs and yeah, just everything about it was great. It's like
Hmm.
people ask me what's my favorite Surya movie, and I always say Are. Like I love Are. Are is my favorite Surya movie. So same thing with
So
this, I
so
guess.
so you're a big Harry fan.
You know what? Maybe, but before like
Before
what
Singham 3 and
and 2 and 3 onwards. Before that, I'd probably like his because I do Prashant Tamil, so I like his movie. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I like his movies.
yeah.
Uh, but I know, but the thing is, Adu and Arul, even Tamil or Tamil, it's Tamil,
Tamil,
right?
Tamil, Tamil.
Yeah, in those movies, he was not a caricature of himself. Even the speed up scene and all that stuff, whatever he did, it worked better. Now he became a character, like a caricature of himself. Like everything he does is sort of like, oh, like, oh, that's Hurry now. He does everything sped up. Everyone's yelling or screaming. Like but he goes into it. He owns it versus like subtracting away from it as a negative. So, but back then it was not like a thing. So it was more naturalistic filmmaking where it's like, oh, that's Hurry, like even GVM, right? Like GVM back in the day was great. Now he's just a caricature of himself. Oh, I'm going to put narration. I'm going to do this. That's why when he did VTK, I was like, yes, you broke out of your own you broke out of your own comfortability. You did something different, and I think I can respect that. But yeah, going back to your original question though. Wait, so you want me to ask the remake of his own movie, like
Like
Vikram's own movie?
if you had to make, let's say, okay, if you had to make a movie with him, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
movie would that be? And if you had the opportunity to remake one of his old classics, or
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, if I were the type of movie I would make with him is something like I'm gonna go with Hollywood here, like the Heat,
oh, okay.
something like Heat or like Wrath of Man with Jason Statham, like something like that. Like, but I would add a little bit more Tamil charm, but definitely something like that because he has such a presence about him. Or something like a cop movie. I would definitely do a cop movie, a legit cop movie, not like Sami, but like something more investigative, like Radiant or something like that for sure. Like he's trying to find a serial killer or something. That's something I would do because I think he has such an intelligence in his eyes that I think a lot of filmmakers waste. So definitely do something like that. Excuse me. And also, if I were to make one of his, Kandasamy.
Oh,
I would definitely remake Kandasamy and make it better. That's for sure. But I would remake Kandasamy. I think Kandasamy is such an interesting story that wasted its time on bad production and timing and
editing.
got lost. Yeah, editing and it got lost. But I think it's such an interesting story that you could actually make so much fun with it. Actually, I would make Kandasamy an actual character like, instead of just one of his versions of the costumes he wears. Like that's what I would do for sure. Like yeah, Kandasamy. Kandasamy and what's the other one? Irumugan. I would like to redo
Oh,
Irumugan.
Iramugan.
Yeah, yeah, those are two ones I would do for sure.
How do you feel as a filmmaker to live in here and for the opportunities?
Sort of like our school boards here, right? Like a lot of the English school boards didn't get much funding because they're English. And so, as long as Montreal focuses on this language barrier that's developing, no Tamil filmmaker will make it here unless you speak French and you're fluent in it. If you don't speak French and you're just coming off the boat, or you're an immigrant, or you're like me, where I'm more anglophone than I'm a francophone, you're gonna have a hard time because those channels are locked, no matter how you want. And the gatekeeping, like I say always, it's blocked off because language is such a huge barrier here in this country, city. If we break that stigma and break up that like the political idea, I think we would thrive. I think any community would thrive here because you don't have to worry about that language anymore. You could still make movies. I think what's the problem is like I had a film diploma and I was able to work in cinema and I applied to Mel Cinema and all these places here to work on sets. I wanted to work on X-Men and like John Wick while they were shooting here, but I couldn't get the chance because they see my name or whatever, they don't hire. And I'm not saying that as a conspiracy theorist. It's sort of a pattern I started noticing as I got older, and so I'm like, it's because the fudge language. It's blocking us out. It's not gonna let anyone thrive because oh you got est-ce que je parle français? Okay, then you could work here. Then if you can't speak French, then you can't. And of course, you're not gonna get artists. You're gonna get the only same group of artists, and maybe within them, maybe we'll get some great Tamil guys that speak mostly French. And I power to you, dude. Like, go ahead. But you want a thriving community where you inclusive out to everyone, because Quebec, Montreal is not like Quebec. Quebec as a whole province, yes, we're predominantly French. You go to Victoriaville up north or you go south, French, French, French. Well, more north, it's more towards American border, so less French. But you follow what I'm saying. But Montreal, it's a multicultural city.
Exactly.
So
That's why I
yeah.
was interested because we talk a lot about Toronto, and Toronto is it's multicultural and it's also open, like it's New York of
Mm-hmm.
Canada. But Montreal on its own, it's also another part of New York, and we do have a lot of movies getting filmed here. So that's why I wanted to actually know from you, like as a Tamil filmmaker, as a filmmaker who is rising, how do you see it on the whole as a city? Does it, Montreal is culturally rich as well, but for filmmakers, is it a very friendly city, or does it really promote that? Because we see a lot of struggles in here for filmmakers.
Yeah. I think it really depends on like along with what I said earlier, I think it really depends on what community of Montreal you're going for. There is a next hope of community where it's like, we want to listen to everybody, but there is such a quiet voice that you can never get. hear from them. But then you have the louder voice where they promote more French-based French films. And that's what's hard for us because that's why I actually was thinking about maybe writing a French film one day. My French, I got to work on my French a bit more, but I think, I mean, I could speak it well enough and understand it well enough that I could write, at least do one. Because if you want to thrive here and want to film that, you want to make a movie here, you gotta and that's what sucks. You have to. It's like I said earlier, like it's there's a small community where like it's like comic book fans, right? Like you have a small comic book based fans who are like, who want to explore like English writers and all these things or whatever. Then you have the bigger French comic book fans who are like their own people, their own world, And so it's like same thing with music. I think that any type of community, there's a split. And once you break to, maybe if you were lucky enough to break that split, then you're thriving. But you got to break through a barrier to get somewhere. Is that fair? I don't know. But if that's why I was like, it was so funny. I was telling my sister, if I want to thrive in this, I have to move to Toronto because there I will get more opportunities. There's more chances of me getting work because, yeah, even within the filmmaking world, there's Tamil people or there's South Asians working there. So you get meetings and stuff, or you might not even besides that, like even there are more people that are willing to listen to you versus here where it's French, English, that divide is strong. And unfortunately, as a guy who's worked in this field, I've seen it where, there are some people who take that stuff too seriously and you don't get to thrive. It's the unfortunate truth, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about maybe I'm wrong my point of view. Maybe I'm not really well educated in that. But like from what I've seen, it's kind of what it is. It's like,
it's your point of view after all, and I think you have worked in the industry as well for the last 6-7 years, and you have made movies. So I'm sure that you went through the struggle and you have seen it. So
and that's what's so crazy. Like as much as I love my Tamil people watching my films, like most of my viewers are usually Tamil or whatever. But I want to branch out to get the more Westerner eyes, even though I'm a Westerner. It's getting those eyes because that's what's also hard for us. We stay within the community. If you
exactly.
notice that the content we create is within this wall. Even like, oh, I'm gonna make a music video, but the song is in Tamil. What's the reach are you getting? You're getting zero reach, and that's power to you. Like you want to do that, that's fine. I'm not dissuading you from that, but you're not gonna get more of a reach beyond that. You want to hit a global point, you gotta branch out. You gotta cater to that. So even making a movie about a Tamil guy as a lead, my technicians are probably a white dude or whatever it may be, because I want to work with people, not because of a cultural reason. I want to just work with people and share ideas and grow. That's the only way you're only able to grow when you get out of your own comfortable space, right? So you got to get out of your own community sometimes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sean, for your time, and
No
it
worries,
was
man.
nice speaking to you. Hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, I did. I really do. I hope I didn't speak too much. I felt like I was oversharing at points, but
No, 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 no. That's the point of this conversation. Like, I
yeah,
really
yeah.
wanted to bring out like your ideas, your opinions, and I'm glad you did. That's what
Thank you.
matters.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I hope you all enjoyed this conversation. You can find the links to Sean's social handles down in the description. So please make sure to follow him and his work. So, as I always say, I'm really happy to have such rising creators on this platform to showcase them to you all. So, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one.